With FTX and Alameda Research collapsing, Solana has been on the forefront of companies affected by all of this bad news. In today's video, I want to show you guys exactly what's going on with Solana and what I'm expecting over the next few weeks, because it's not looking the best if I'm going to be honest. So let's not waste any more time at all, and let's get straight into today's video. We haven't been doing technical analysis on Solana for the last week, as we've been focusing on the news, but it is important to always keep an eye at least on your TA, because it does give us some signs about what investors are thinking. Well, what we can see is that over the last few days, we had about a 70% collapse to the downside just in the course of a week. Now, whenever we get these huge capitulation events, it always gives us key signs of what we can expect based off of the reaction from the capitulation over the next few days. Let's look at a few examples of some recent capitulation events to show what usually will happen here. We got this capitulation event to the downside, in which we did see Solana's price fall about roughly... This one was a little bit smaller, about 50%. Off of that, we got some recovery back up to our macro level of resistance. It was, of course, from this previous point of support and our most recent point of support, creating this macro level of bearish liquidity, in which we did get a pull to the downside or a rejection off of this level. We actually did end up getting rejected off of it again back here. Then we started to see capitulation when the Luna collapse happened right here. Boom, we got a bit of a bounce back up towards this previous point of support from back here, as well as our macro point of support, which was right around 78 roughly. That created this bearish zone of liquidity. Again, we came right up towards it. We didn't hit it directly, but we came up towards it, we got rejected, and then we continued to the downside. Right now, we can see a very similar picture playing out in the short term. We saw this pull to the downside. We got a bit of a bounce back up towards this zone, if we can see what this zone is right here. We had all of these previous points of support, as well as our most recent points of support, creating this bearish zone of liquidity, very similar to what we saw back here and back here. And because of that, we are now seeing a bit of a rejection to the downside, okay? So if this does go as per usual, what will usually happen here is that we will start to trend back down for the time being. That's kind of what I'm expecting here. Now, if at any given point we do see this thing clear 2633, I will bite my words and go ahead and say, okay, likelihood is we're looking for continuation to the top side, but it does seem likely that we are going to see this thing pull at least back towards this 14 to 13-ish dollar level before we can see some growth. Now, is it going to set the new low? That's the question that everyone has, right? Are we starting to work our way back towards the 10 to sub 10 level? Are we starting to come back towards this zone of liquidity from $9.70 to $8, in which we put in this very, very small move here, right? That's a great question, and I think that it is going to be difficult for us to get that low. I think that the news is already factored in, and people have already started to kind of respect the situation that's happening, but it's definitely not impossible. So how do we gauge whether or not that's going to happen? Well, the only way we can do so is by monitoring our 618 to 786 zone to the bottom side. So what I want you guys to do is take your Fibonacci and draw it from 1124 all the way up towards roughly, let's just go ahead and call it 2276. In this zone between $14.71 and $13.07 is going to basically act as our last stand. If you lose the 618 to 786 zone to the bottom side, you are almost always likely to not only hit the bottom that you put in, but also continue back down towards some of these lower lows, which does look like about 927 to the downside, which does put us in, in range to start really trickling and continuing this fall, okay? Best case scenario is this does not happen. Best case scenario for Solana is it comes back to this level, maybe does something like this and continues, or at absolute, last chance, we come back and double bottom around 1124 and then really look for continuation here, okay? So really be on the lookout for 1471 to 1307. If this level holds, we're in a great position to see some growth and maybe start a bit of a 5 wave here, right? Maybe we put in our wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, maybe come down for wave 4 and look to put in wave 5. I don't really see a reason as to why we would see such growth like this. Solana's definitely still in a bit of a dangerous situation with possible liquidations coming, but you never can judge this market. All we can do is prepare and react. And so for that reason, again, I am expecting a pull back towards $14.70 to around $13. And until we see a bit of an interaction here, I'm kind of just holding off. Now, again, the way I would be invalidated is if we clear 2633, because that would then put us having cleared all of these points of support right here and support right here, and also these previous points of support. We would have battled our way through this zone of bearish bearish liquidity. And then at that point, Solana's in great position to see a continuation. I just, again, don't see this happening in the short term. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm paying attention to. Pay very close attention to those levels because this thing is going to move and it's going to move fast, and you don't want to get caught off guard. I do believe now may not even be the best time to be trading. It may just be better off to prepare and watch this market and get to understand what Solana specifically is going to do, so you can prepare some possible long trades or short trades later on when it does start to cool down. But with that said, that's going to be today's quick little episode on what is going on with Solana. I hope you guys do enjoy these short, fast updates so you can stay up to date. And if you do, always let me know simply by smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel if you are new. But with that said, that's going to be about it. Of course, I hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you all next time. Peace.